The decision to breastfeed a baby is personal, but the benefits is enormous. Therefore, discussing breastfeeding cannot be too much, as we have to keep reminding ourselves on the necessity, especially as young or first-time mothers. It is another exciting time on Let's Talk, as we will be divulging all the necessary information on breastfeeding. I am Olujoke Mosako, saying welcome on board. In the studio is Pastor Fumi King Okwesheyi. She is a registered nurse. Enjoy. Thank you, Ma, for joining.
Thank you.
Now, talking about breastfeeding. Why breastfeeding?
Before you decide on breastfeeding the child, you have to go through some of the benefits to both you and the baby. Breast milk provides nutrition for babies. It has the right amount of nutrient, it's easily digested, and is readily available at any time. You don't have to think of, like if you are the type that keep your baby bassinet or baby cot in your room, you don't have to get up, go out of your room to prepare the food or anything. The breast milk is always readily available. All you have to do is to make sure the baby latch very well. Breastfeeding is very good. Is very good for working mothers. Is very good for working mothers. It costs less for the families and also enhances good immunity for the children and for the mother. The World Health Organization recommends breastfeeding up until 2 years or longer because of its great benefits. Because the benefits continue that long, even up to adulthood. Health Organization, recommend early breastfeeding from 1 hour of birth, because of its biggest benefits. The recommendations don't come lightly.
Is it that difficult that some women wouldn't want to breastfeed their child? And also, what are the ABCs of breastfeeding?
It's not difficult to breastfeed, for your child. Some women prefer to breastfeed, and some women prefer not to, based on their own personal reasons. Some will tell you, oh, it will make my breast sag. Some will tell you, I can't stand somebody tickling me. Some will tell you, I don't think I will have the time to breastfeed. Some will tell you, it is easier for me to give formula than to breastfeed my child. In the sense that formula you can put in the bottle, anybody can help you to look after your child. But these days, it's not so anymore. You can also express breast milk in a bottle and give to your child. You can give it to whoever is caring for your child when you are at work. Breastfeeding is very important. You will see that any child that is being breastfed travel less to the emergency room, because as children are growing up, you have little infections here and there that comes in. Ear infections, common cold, virus, bacteria infection. But a child that is well breastfed will not come up with all those things. Even if they do, it's going to be just minimal. It will not be that, the effect will not be that high on that child.
Isn't it a good advice for anyone who feels breastfeeding a child would cause more damage than good to basically not even give birth at all? Because from what you've said, breastfeeding is actually very important and good for the baby's health.
Yes. Breast milk contains everything baby needs for the first 6 months of life in all the right proportions. Its composition even changes according to the baby's changing needs, especially during the first month of life. During the first days after birth, our breast produces a thick and yellowish fluid called colostrum. That this colostrum is very, very high in protein and low in sugar and loaded with beneficial compounds. It's truly a wonder food and not replaceable by formula. You cannot get colostrum in formula. Colostrum is the ideal first milk and helps the newborn immature digestive system to develop. After the first few days, the breast starts producing larger amounts of milk as the baby's stomach grows. About the only thing that may be lacking from your magical milk supply is vitamin D. Unless you have a very high intake of vitamin D, then you'll be able to provide vitamin D during breast milk. But if you don't, doctors will recommend vitamin D drops for that child.
Okay, now let's look at the exclusive aspect of breastfeeding, which over the years has become something that medical practitioners will always emphasize for mothers especially. Now, what benefits are there in breastfeeding a baby? One, especially with this exclusive that I just talked about, to the mother and child.
Most healthcare professionals recommend exclusive breastfeeding for at least 6 months or longer. It is easier said than done in the sense that for working mothers, it is not easy to do exclusive breastfeeding, but exclusive for the first 6 months. You don't have to be there. You can express your breast milk in a bottle. There's breast milk container that is being sold everywhere that you can use it to store your breast milk up to a week in the freezer, and you can use at your own convenience. But I don't really. That one is for working mothers, for career women that really want to practice that exclusive breast feeding. The reason why they introduce that is because they don't want to discourage career women from practicing exclusive breastfeeding. But if you are not a career woman, you are still a nursing mother that is still home, like a full-time housewife, mothers taking care of children from home. There's nothing stopping you from doing exclusive breastfeeding directly from your chest.
I even got to know that this exclusive breastfeeding has a way of helping a child's IQ, unlike a child who has been trained with just bottle baby foods that have gotten elsewhere aside breast milk.
That is true. That is very, very correct. Children who are breastfed have high IQ. They are more intelligent, more compassionate. The way they reason is different from those that were not breastfed at all. They reason differently. They are very smart because this is just the work of that colostrum, the yellowish discharge that a baby receives the first few days of life. That is why we always tell mothers, it is very, very important you breastfeed your child for the first 6 months. Even if you have to introduce formula because of your career or because of your work schedule, at least the first 6 months of that child's life should be exclusive breast milk.
So what if the situation whereby we have nursing mothers that are below average, let's say, I wouldn't want to use the word poor, but they can't really feed well? How would you, is this sensible enough for them to actually practice exclusive breastfeeding when even the mother is not well fed?
Nature has been so good to we women that when it comes to motherhood, nature has compensated that area for us. Whatever we eat, we give through breast milk to our infants, to our children. Even if that woman is so poor to that extent, whatever she takes, she's able to pass out. She can't be that poor not to have at least one meal a day. The child might not be that chubby, big, the way we are expecting that child to be, but when it comes to immunity, that child got it. The child still look healthy. These are the children that you will see that they look underage. I mean, not under. Let me rephrase that statement. Not underage, but they don't look chubby, they look trimmed, but trust me, their immunity is very, very high because their mother is performing exclusive breastfeeding. Those children hardly contact any contagious diseases. They hardly get bacterial infections. They hardly get virus issues. They hardly get common cold. Even if their mother eats poorly, but their mother is still able to breastfeed them. The content in breast milk, God has been so faithful to women that that content cannot be replaced with any formula.
Okay, let's look at the area of positioning. Do you think the way there is a special way that a baby has to be positioned? You know that, of course, as girl child, you grow up seeing your mom carry your younger one, the newborn, in a particular way to breastfeed the child. And now, maybe we just grew into knowing that, seeing it that way. I would want to ask you, is there a better way aside the one that we grew up to see our mothers do?
Yes, positioning a baby during breastfeeding is very, very important. You can position a child to your breast and that child is not getting anything. There's something they call latching. When you are breastfeeding the child, you have to sit up very well. Put your child and make sure the whole nipple is inside your child's mouth. Then you can see the child sucking, because as you are breastfeeding, we also encourage eye contact because this breastfeeding promotes bonding, mother and child bonding. So when you are breastfeeding, if the child is not getting anything, you will know because the child will be frustrated, So you will see that your breast that used to be engorged, after the baby must have really sucked the breast very well, it's less engorged, it's less tensed. Definitely, once you put the baby, you make sure the nipple, the dark area of the nipple is fully in the baby's mouth. And as you are breastfeeding, you are pressing the little, the reason why you are pressing is because you are helping the child to get more. And you will notice at times you can experiment and stylishly take your breast out of the baby's mouth. You will see it coming out. So that is how you know that the baby is really getting enough milk.
Let's look at the health of the mother. Are there medical considerations for a nursing mother not to breastfeed a child?
Yes, there are some medical issues like mastitis, that is inflammation of the breast. In that situation, doctor advise not to breastfeed a child because it is very, very sore. Because at that time, it's not only breast milk that is involved, it's also some exudates that is involved. So you don't want your child to get a bacteria from your breast that is engorging your breast. You don't want to pass it down to the baby. So doctor will advise you cannot breastfeed.
Okay. Now, with this issue of COVID, many women put to bed during COVID, and some even had COVID. Now, from as a nurse, I'm sure you've seen it all. What were the nurses advising the mothers to do, or how would they have been able to survive the situation by still making sure that their newborn is adequately taken care of?
If a woman is not infected with COVID, she can breastfeed her child.
Oh.
Yes. And I've not seen a pregnant woman that was, COVID positive.
Okay.
I was opportune to work in the COVID center from March up till date. And most babies that were born in the facility where I worked, none of them were positive. They were all negative.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, they were all negative. And most of the pregnant women in that unit, they were all negative as well. In this situation, let's assume the doctor says the woman has a COVID and she cannot breastfeed, there's a formula that is very close to breast milk that doctors recommend. But it's only 1 in 10 that in this case happens. Like a woman with HIV positive, they cannot breastfeed. They will tell you, or the doctors usually, advise them not to. So they prescribe this formula that is very, very close to breast milk. for them to give to their baby. But these cases are very rare. And I don't pray that anyone will, go through something like this.
Okay, so what are the societal benefits of breastfeeding? Even before we look at the economic too, because I'm going to be asking you about that. Now let's talk about the societal benefit of breastfeeding.
Societal benefits of breastfeeding. It helps career women from calling out of work to take care of their children, because when a child is sick, mother cannot focus on her job. Because once you breastfeed your child for that certain amount of months, 6 months, that child will not contract any virus ailments or bacterial ailments. That child will be healthy. That the only reason why you have to visit the doctors is when you have to take your child for normal routine checkup and immunization. And you don't have to think of, heating up the food, warming the food in the bottle, or putting it into the microwave, or putting the food in the hot water. You don't need to do that. The food is always at the right temperature. It's always at the right temperature. And it helps the mother to focus more, in her career, because she's rest assured that my child is doing well, my child is not sick, I'm doing the right thing. And it gives these more women instincts that, there's a natural instinct that women have, especially those that breastfed their child. They know when things are not going on well with their child. But if you did not breastfeed your child, there's no way you'll be able to know, because the bonding is not there. That is why we always advise women that when you are breastfeeding your child, always make this eye contact. Because as you are making eye contact, you are creating bonding between you and your child. You're creating bonding between you and your child. Thereby, you'll be able to know if something is wrong, if something is okay with your child, or if she's getting enough milk, if she's not getting enough milk.
Okay, now let's look at the economic aspect, the economic benefit of breastfeeding.
Economic aspect, it saves government a lot of money. There's something they call WIC. In America, they give WIC to pregnant mothers. And after the baby is born, for those that don't want to do exclusive breast milk, government still provide them formula up until 1 year of that child's life. You see, when you choose to breastfeed your child all through, government won't have to do that. They won't have to give you money. They won't have to help, because they know you are doing the right thing and you are passing down the immunity in you down to your child. Even the mother herself, it helps the mother in spacing the children. Some women, when they are breastfeeding, they don't ovulate. And if you don't ovulate, there's no way you can menstruate. Not until you stop breastfeeding before your ovulation starts again. It may take up to 2 years before they start ovulating again. So in that area, they are also helping the government. They are spacing it helps them to space their children.
Wow.
Yes. Some falls into, the food expense, the expenses. Formula is very, very expensive. Formula is very, very expensive. It's not cheap. And for male children, and for not only male children, for some children, they eat a lot. That a can of formula is not enough for them for a week. And formula is $20-something and above. All over the world, baby food is very expensive. But with breast milk, you don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy it. It's readily available at any time. You can choose to do it wherever you want. Exclusive breastfeeding has saved government a lot of money. It has also reduced the cost of medicine. It has also reduced the cost of money taking care of children who are sick.
So how can a mother practice a good hygiene during this period of weaning the baby with breastfeeding?
All the women have to do in the hospital, we always tell them, make sure you shower twice a day. And after each breastfeeding, make sure you clean the breast. That was...
Some people just put it back. I don't think they clean it.
I know. but they are not supposed to put it back. They are supposed to wash it with water, clean water,
Mm.
clean water, and put before putting it back. Because why? When you put it back, you will sweat. You don't want to pass your germs to the baby. So what is the point of trying to prevent germs when you are passing it to the baby directly? Before you give your baby breast milk, you have to clean first before giving it to baby. And after you feed the baby, you are supposed to clean afterwards before putting it back. And some of them will say, "Oh, nurse, doctor, I'm kind of sore." There is a cream for it that does not have any effect on the baby and does not have any effect on the mother. There is a lubricant that you can use so that the soreness can reduce. Some will tell you, even after my baby has finished breastfeeding, I still feel the engorgement and it's giving me rigor. What do we advise? We advise them to take a hot shower. So that's what they call letting down. To allow it to let down. You see, as you are taking a hot bath, you see the engorgement reduce. The breast milk will start coming down. It will start melting away. Because the more you take care of yourself, the more you drink plenty of fluids, even if you don't have enough money to purchase food and all that. That is why in America they give milk. All over the world, it's very advisable for women who are breastfeeding to drink plenty of milk, to drink plenty of pap. At least everybody can afford pap.
Mm-hmm.
To drink plenty of pap, to drink plenty of liquids. It can be water, it can be juice. Drink plenty of that so that you can pass that nutrient to the baby, so that your breast can engorge, so that you can give your baby enough breast milk. If you don't do any of that, there's no way you can have enough breast milk to feed your baby.
Let's quickly look at the women who smoke during pregnancy. The smoke, the drink, and all sorts of things. Doesn't this kind of attitude give a defection, or if I would use that word, I'm trying to get the appropriate word, that you have the baby gets defected, or if that's the right word to use actually.
Women who smoke, who do drugs during pregnancy, who drinks, who do all sorts of illicit things, it's all because whatever they do during pregnancy, they pass it to the baby through the placenta. So that child is usually malnourished. That child is born lethargic. Those are the children that they come out with low birth weights. Those are the children that don't do well. Those are the children that their IQ is very, very low. Those are the children that are very, very slow. Even in school, it affects them because of the effects of whatever the mother had taken during pregnancy. And doctor is always advising them, if you have to continue doing all this, it is advisable not to breastfeed your child, because then the disadvantages will now outweigh the advantages. Then it's like you are passing a disease to that child.
Thank you so much. What advice would you give to young mothers, very new mothers who are just experiencing this for the first time, or those that are still pregnant, on how to go through the journey and still have a healthy baby?
My advice to them is for them to eat well and drink plenty of water. If you are the type that love to eat sweet things like soda or malt and all that, I will advise to cut it down during pregnancy, so that you don't have babies who are overweight, and so that you don't introduce diabetes to the child from birth. Also, I always advise mothers to take the multivitamins that is being recommended for them by their doctors or practitioners, because it helps in the development of the baby's brain, and it also helps the baby to form very well. And for some women that have this in their mind that, oh, once I breastfeed, my breast is going to sag. Whether you breastfeed or not, the breast is still going to sag. Breastfeeding will not affect your breast sagging. Whether you do it, you don't do it, it's still going to sag. So my advice is, If you don't want to breastfeed for long, at least the first 6 months of that baby's life needs to be exclusive breastfeeding. If you say, oh, I'm working, I can't this, I can't that, make sure you breast, even if you have to give formula, make sure the breast milk is more than the formula. Make sure it's more than the formula, so that the baby can still get the nutrients that they need to grow. So that the baby can bond with you as a, can have as a mother. So the baby can bond with you, so that you will have that motherhood instincts of knowing if your baby is okay or not. It's natural. We cannot cheat nature.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you on the show, and it's really mind blowing. Once again, thank you for coming.
Thank you for the invite.
I'm really smiling because from everything Mrs. Opweshe said, it's really very important. Whether you breastfeed or you don't breastfeed, the law of sagging will still come upon you. So it's either you do it and have a healthy child, very intelligent child, and be able to rest and be glad you did, or you have the other side of a child. And also, from what she said again, I'm going to also leave you with this. What you eat is what you pass on to your child. So watch what you eat. Thank you so much for always being part of the show. Until next time, I remain Olujoke. Bye for now.